Women make up 70% of the healthcare workforce, but only 20% of its leadership. On Her Story, we'll explore the careers of bold and influential women from Silicon Valley to Capitol Hill and learn how they've overcome the odds. This is Her Story, a program where we explore what's beyond the glass ceiling.
Today, we have a special mashup conversation about diversity in the C-suite. Join us as we explore the inspiring journeys of Shellye Archambeau, former CEO, MetricStream, advisor and author, Deborah Telman, Executive Vice President, Corporate Affairs and General Counsel, Gilead Sciences, and Fawn Lopez, Publisher Emeritus, Modern Healthcare. Let's hear from Shellye Archambeau first.
Oh, goodness. My life was one of a lot of challenges. My father didn't have a college degree, and he had 4 children. My parents had 4 kids in 5 years. Boom, 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 boom. Right. And so to support his family, he was always taking on new opportunities. So we moved. I lived in 7 different states before I got to high school. So you're always right. So you're always a new kid on the block. And oh, by the way, this happened to be in the 60s and early 70s. And that was the time when a lot was going on civil rights wise. And for as many people that felt there should be civil rights, you had just as many that didn't. And they were, frankly, very willing and open to let a little Black girl know that she wasn't welcome and wasn't wanted. I was bullied, I was abused, I was beat up by kids in my class. I mean, it was not good. So that's why I realized very early in life that the odds just aren't in my favor. So if I want anything out of life, I'm going to have to figure out how I improve the odds to actually get it. I craved respect. I just wanted people to respect me because I wasn't getting respect. And what I found is when I actually helped people, they then got to know me as a person and they started to respect me. So I learned early that helping was actually a good thing. So I'd offer to help people. Then I figured out that I was really good at organizing and pulling things together, and people actually respected that too. So I was like, okay. So by the time I got to high school, I was joining all kinds of clubs and organizations. More than that, I was leading them. I was president of this, vice president of that, treasurer of this. I took positions. And again, it was all about trying to be respected and show that I'm capable and all of that. And that's really what sparked the leadership. I personally didn't recognize it from the beginning. But I do feel that when people, ask you or ask me, Shellye, what are your superpowers? We talk about strengths. I believe my strengths are 2 things, really, which is 1, courage, and 2, discipline. So it's the courage to take risks and the courage to go after things when you're not comfortable. And then it's the discipline that's required to actually follow through on the plan. A lot of people set goals, Gary, I find, and some people actually take the time to write down a plan. All right, here's my goal, here's my plan. But very few people make decisions every day, consistent with that plan. And that's where I believe the power is. And that's really where my power came from, because I took the time to build a plan, figure out what was required to achieve the goal, make the plan. And then every day it was like, all right, this is the plan. So what's the decision to support the plan? And that way the odds just improved, because when opportunities came along, I was ready to go after them. I do think it's important that boards have kind of a diverse group. So it doesn't always mean it'll be the exact same fit, but I do think it's important that you know your role. One of the questions I always ask when I'm interviewing for a board is to the CEO or to the lead director or chairman is, what role do you want me to play? Why do you want me on the board? So that I know what my lane is. I tell people, stay in your lane. Boards, they want to know what you know. They don't want to know what you think. And what I mean by that is we all have ideas. I mean, we're smart people, right? We're sitting on the board, we all have ideas. But the board has a very finite amount of time to get accomplished what they need to get accomplished. So just because I happen to be an expert in maybe engineering and cybersecurity, whatever, but I have ideas for marketing, they probably don't want to hear my marketing ideas because that's just based upon gut, right? It's not based upon experience and background, et cetera. So, stay in your lane. Make sure that you are being vocal in those areas in which you bring real expertise and real experience. versus just opining on everything because you have opinions. And that's what I mean by they want to know what you know versus just what you think. So I completely agree with that.
Having experienced the challenges of being the only woman or person of color in many settings, Deb Telman emphasizes the importance of embracing one's uniqueness and contributing their value without hesitation. Let's hear from her next.
I have a lot of confidence in who I am and my skill set. I will say, because as you could imagine, in many settings, I'm the only one. I'm the only woman. I'm the only person of color. I'm the only Black person. So when you're the only one, you have to start being really comfortable speaking your truth. Otherwise, skills that you should be bringing to the table, the value you can bring will not be present because you're holding back. So I have always been comfortable because I had to. I didn't have a choice. I mean, when I started on Wall Street, there were very few women senior leaders working at investment banks, right? There was this old white male culture. Unfortunately, probably still exists to a certain extent today with the Wall Street banks. But I have to be really comfortable in that space. And so I've kind of taken that and used that confidence in myself over and over again. I always think it's always helpful to collaborate, to find like-minded individuals who believe like you believe. And quite frankly, that could be white males, that could be other women, other people of color. I think when you step outside of the room and have one-on-one conversations, you could build a relationship that maybe is not there. So when you're speaking up or are in a room where there are, difficult discussions happening, that there's an echo for you in those discussions. Because I agree, it's really hard when it's only one person speaking up. So I've discovered and found over the years, you need to find people who also have a view similar to yours. And that's through building relationships. That's being in a situation where you can have coffee and lunch and really get to know people so that you can really collaborate and bring the best value to your company or situation. Health equity, it's really important. I would say one of the reasons I joined Gilead is that we have a particular focus on advancing health and Black equity. We have a VP in our organization that has that title, and he's focused on removing those stigmas. So I was happy to, of course, through the Public Affairs organization, and I think that's a novel approach to have someone at that level who's focused on that. So I'm excited for what we've done structurally. But I also one of the co-sponsors for one of the Black resource employee resource groups, and I take that seriously in terms of giving back and trying to be a mentor and quite frankly an advocate. Yeah, that's what we really need. We need allies. Allies are important, but we also need people to be advocates when they're sitting in rooms and making sure there's opportunities for women and for people of color to have a chance to present and to, show the value that they're bringing in the organization. So I look at that as, one of my key responsibilities, that I can help foster that and be that person that can mentor and advocate for women and people of color in the organization. Sometimes we count ourselves out and we say, oh, we don't have the skill set, or they're not going to select me because I haven't done this, I haven't done that. I think you have to give yourself, number one, permission to say, I do have the skill set because of these experiences, right? And to know how to package that. I will say that's important, to know how to put that all together to show that you're going to add value to a board. So yes, I am on a public board. And the way that happened was through relationships. So all those discussions and engagements you have in your career ultimately pay off. Maybe not at the time you're in those relationships, but later on, because you keep building out people who know you, who know of your your work ethics, your intellectual skill, whatever expertise you have. And then when there's an opportunity, you start calling people and say, hey, I'm now interested in being on a public board. Give me your thoughts around that. So I think you have to engage and use and lever those relationships hopefully you have, because there are opportunities out there. And I think there are a lot of organizations that you could use that could help build the skills. So one of the things I did is like, okay, as I started thinking about, being on the public board, I tried to figure out what were those skills that I needed to amplify for me to be on that public boards. And then I did additional training and certifications in their organization, National Association of Corporate Directors, that could help you with that. If you don't have those skills, I think you've got to invest. And sometimes that means personally investing to make sure that you're going to be an attractive candidate when those opportunities are available. But then you also have to go out and seek those opportunities.
Last but not least, let's hear Fawn Lopez's inspiring story and learn valuable lessons on achieving success and fostering diversity in the corporate world.
So, I haven't always been the publisher emeritus of modern healthcare. So almost 48 years ago, I was stranded at a refugee camp at Camp Pendleton, California, in San Diego. I was with 8 family members. None of us spoke English. We were poor. We had to embrace a new culture and a radically different family dynamic. My father was a colonel in the South Vietnamese Army, and as the war drew to a close, he decided to risk his own life and the lives of his wife and 6 children and a father to seek freedom in the United States. Our journey took us from Saigon to Guam to Camp Pendleton. And from there, it was on to Kansas City, where we took more steps to fulfill my father's plan for a better future in America. All of us, even the kids, children, looked for work. My mother was a seamstress, never worked before in her life. My father was a janitor, former colonel, and he worked 2 jobs to support the family. My parents lived the gospel of hard work, while the kids built a foundation for our future through education. So it was with my family, the generosity of the American people, and what that gave us the strength, gave my family the strength and will it needed to build a new life in America. So we were focused and determined to not just squander the opportunity that we risked our lives to fulfill. And it was about the future. And a way to a better future was through education. So my father used to say, the money will come and go, but your education and your integrity will be with you forever. It will give you the confidence and freedom to do things that you might otherwise not even attempt or consider. So it's been that for me that has driven me, and it was a driving force for all that, everything that I've done since then. And, I've had to navigate healthcare. I came to modern healthcare, actually, didn't want to go to modern healthcare. I was recruited to modern healthcare when I was with the same company. Modern healthcare is owned by a very successful B2B media company. And I was with a different brand when I was being recruited to modern healthcare. didn't want to go to healthcare. I didn't want to leave where I was because I loved, my work. We were having all kinds of, we were breaking all kinds of records. And but it took 7 months after I had continued repeatedly turn the job down. 7 months later, with pressure from leadership and a sense of obligation and responsibility, I took the job. At the time, modern healthcare was a turnaround. And it was a turnaround situation that I was hired to fix. And I didn't plan to stay longer than 2 years. And after I got there, 6 months later, there was no way I was going to leave because I loved the work. I loved the mission of not only the industry, the healthcare industry, but also the mission of modern healthcare, which is, to help healthcare executives and organizations be more successful by providing the news, information, and insights that they need to be successful. So yes, I have been there since. I was at Modern Healthcare. I joined Modern Healthcare in October of 2001, and became the publisher in 2005, and retired at the end of 2022. So for me, it was about, I had to overcome a lot to get to where I was or where I am today. And I wanted to make sure that other people, if I could help it at all, that to shorten or to help them to not have to go through some of the challenges or obstacles that I faced as a woman, as a minority in this very when I joined 22 years ago, very male dominated and white industry. And my father always told us, a way out of poverty was through education and hard work. So, and you have to always look for opportunities. They just don't, and sometimes they come to you and you're not aware of it. Always look for ways to contribute, to do more, work hard, be smart, be opportunistic, but be with a sense of purpose and giving in mind. And look for people that will support you, that will champion you, will promote you, will help you. We don't do this alone. Build a community of support. When I was younger, and actually I still do have it, I created my own personal board of directors. And they include my family members, friends, mentors, former bosses, colleagues, and from different paths, different, industries, different roles in their professional career, so that I could ask and tap them for advice, feedback, and never afraid to ask for help, right? It's you can't be too proud, and you don't know everything. So I will be the first to say, I don't know everything. I will ask and be curious And an advice I would give myself, my younger self, is not to worry too much. There are things you can't control. There are things that are out of your control, and that you can't save everyone. You know, people have to do it for themselves. You give them the opportunity, you give them the platform, but they have to take it. They have to make it happen. So those are some of the things that I would say to myself. You know, and for me, working hard was just a part of my life, what I do. And I figured it out why. I didn't mind it. It was because I loved what I did. So it wasn't work. I was getting a lot more from it than I was giving back to it. So if you really are purposeful, if you're intentional, if you're passionate about what you do, work is a joy. It's a privilege to get to do what we do.
As we conclude this episode, we are reminded of the incredible strength and dedication demonstrated by leaders from diverse backgrounds. By fostering diversity and inclusion in the C-suite, we can unleash the untapped potential of our organizations and pave the way for a more promising and equitable future.